Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Deeper podcast. And I am super excited. It's been a while since I recorded an episode, actually. And today I am here with Bryan Reeves, and he calls himself and I love this, life and relationship insight ninja. I love that one. And he's an author of a wonderful book called, let me say it correctly, Choose Her Every Day or Leave Her, which I highly, highly recommend. So, hey, Bryan, welcome.
What's up, Sophie? Nice to see you. It's nice to be here. Thank you for having me on.
So nice that you're here. Yeah, and I can really attest to him being a relationship and insight ninja, because his whole Instagram is just these absolutely incredible quotes. And just that I was just telling Bryan that I was reading his book again a little bit as I was diving into today, and just all these quotes just kept hitting me in the face. Like, wow, they're really, really powerful. So, hey, yeah,
Thank
nice
you.
that you're here.
Thank you.
So, for everybody that doesn't know you, but can you maybe briefly share with us your story or what you're building in the world, whatever you feel called to today?
Goodness, whatever I feel called to today. Well, I will say this. I am I think this is important, but I am a 47 years exquisitely aged man. I am a former United States Air Force officer, and I was in the military for essentially 10 years. And growing up a boy in this culture, going into the military, I was the president of my fraternity in college, highly educated, I have all this training and education. And when the military spat me out at 26 years old into the world to find my way, I had no idea where I was going or what I was doing, and I had no idea how to be a good intimate partner for a woman. I was absolutely and utterly confused, although I didn't know it. So, that I'm 47, that was 26, and that's when, in a way, uh, sort of the dark night of my soul began at 26, coming out of the military. And, the last 21 years have just been an extraordinary, at times excruciating journey. I'm now married to my lovely lady, Sylvie Kukassian. We've been together for 6 years. And, in some ways, the real journey began when she and I met. But now I work with, I've been coaching couples for the last 7, 8 years. I really am specializing more now in working with men, because as a man myself, I have an embodied appreciation, a visceral understanding of the support that men need, that we don't typically get because of the lack of wise elders in the world.
Yeah.
So that's the work I'm up to largely today. And I'm delighted to be having this conversation with you, Sophie.
I love this. I love your story, because I think it's such a beautiful testament almost of that you come from such a hyper masculine background and came into the world and were like, I actually have no idea what it means.
Totally.
I actually have no idea what it means.
I'm a white man from the
Yeah.
United States of America. Like,
Yeah.
I'm at the top of the privilege pyramid.
Yeah.
And at 26 years old, I'd just been a captain in the world's most powerful air force, all with all the prestige and privilege and respect that comes with it. Having been paid well, uh, and I was broken, and because I was so lost, so disoriented, um, coming out of that experience. So yeah, I mean, there's just so much more we could say about that,
Yeah.
but
What was the biggest thing that you thought to be true, maybe about being a man or being masculine, that really ended up not? serving you.
Oh, the list is long. But let's just say, one of my great delusions was that also because I had, two strong mothers, not
Hmm.
married to each other, but married to my fathers. I had really strong and visionary stepmother, and also an activist leader mother, biological
Mm.
mom. So I had these incredible women role models. Also, three sisters whom I loved dearly and got along with great and who worshiped me. And so I thought, you know, gosh, I know what women. I know how to be good with a woman.
Hmm.
I know how to love. That's really the delusion. I know how to love. Oh my God, was I clueless and arrogant and righteous and but subtly so.
Yeah.
It was like the belief that I know, there was a great spiritual religious tradition, various two families that I was raised in as well. And
Hmm.
so, I just had all of this belief that I know what it means to unconditionally love someone and to really just love. It was such a concept, but I thought I
Hmm.
had it down. And at 27, I guess, I met a woman in France and quickly married her. This was right after the military, so I couldn't feel anything. I was totally disembodied, disconnected
Yeah.
from my emotions, from my body, from living purely neck up. And oh, you know, just months into that relationship, there was this moment where we were in Mallorca
Mm.
on our disastrous honeymoon. And Mallorca is this beautiful island just off the coast of Spain. Have you been?
Hmm. I love it there.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's
Gorgeous.
gorgeous, beautiful. And we were there, it's Christmas time, like the in 2000 and when would that have been? 2003 maybe? Something like that. 2002, 2003. Christmas time. It's beautiful. And I remember um, we're driving up this mesa. There's this
Hmm.
monastery on the top of these mesas, and they're epically beautiful and gorgeous. And we're driving in our rental car, and we're 2 days into a disastrous honeymoon experience. Um, we haven't had sex on our honeymoon or even for weeks prior. We just got married. We just met each other months ago, and like we're supposed to be hot and heavy, and we are already at each other's throats. It's already grinding, and not in a good way, in a horrible way. And I'm thinking, I know what love is, and you're not doing it.
Mm.
Woman, you don't know what love is. You don't know how
Oof.
to love. I know how to love. And this is, I'm lecturing her on love, and she's lecturing me right back. And I
Yeah.
remember we're driving up this mesa to the top of this monastery, at sunset, and it's this epic cinematic moment. And and then she gets out of the car, and she's just like, she's walking ahead of me. It's one of the things that she would do. She would walk 20 feet ahead of me. She was French, she was fast. I don't know where she was going, but she didn't want to walk next to me. I don't know what that was about. Probably on my own sort of anxious, give me love was all coming out. And she was just like 20 feet ahead of me, like, nope, I'm not doing it. And here I am chasing her down, begging her to love me, but that's not how it's coming out. I'm not saying I'm not really being vulnerable and
Yeah.
real. I'm being projecty and judgy and righteous and
Yeah.
arrogant, and you need to do this and you're not doing, and she's not having it. And we get back into the car, and I remember her resignation in that moment.
Mm.
Her surrender, not to me, but surrender to it's just, I felt in her. I don't know what was going on for her, obviously, but my experiencing of her in that moment was like, I'm done. I give up. I surrender, not to you, Mr. Reeves, but to the futility of this.
Yeah.
And I remember there sitting, and I was driving, and she was just like, let's just go.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting there thinking, there's no way I'm just going, because if I just go and nothing changes, this is over. I don't want this to be over. This can't be over. I'm dead inside. I need love. But I remember in that moment, Sophie, um, I resolved myself when I felt her
Mm.
surrender to the futility, when it was like it was a moment of bottoming out.
Yeah.
I sat there and took a deep breath, and I resolved from that moment on to start really learning. Like, that was the first moment I saw my limitations to loving.
Yeah.
I saw how conditional my love was. I had no I thought I was so unconditionally loving. I was really full of shit, is what I was. And that moment was like, oh my God, I need to look at me in this.
Yeah.
That was a life-changing moment, but of course it would take years and years, and I'm still on that journey. I'm still learning, the
Yeah.
lessons of and all of that. So that I would say, that's a long answer to, but it's a deep delusion that often persists
Yeah.
even still today.
Yeah, I feel you, especially on the righteousness, on the, but you should love me, and here's how you should, and this is what it looks like. And
I read a
yeah,
book once about
yeah,
unconditional love, and I know it's like this. Eckhart
yeah,
Tolle said, whatever. And that's how, and I agree with him. You're not doing it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So the sentence I read just before I got on this call, and that just slapped me in the face, to be honest, was your partner will never selflessly and enthusiastically give you what you selfishly demand from them. And it's
Oh
like,
yeah, that's
give
it.
me
Yeah.
love.
Give me love. That's right. Be enthusiastic about being with me. Or,
Yes.
oh my
Because
gosh.
this is why I really wanted to have this conversation with you, Bryan, because I think many people who like read David Data or are in this work, they will use this, and I
Mm,
have to catch myself for this many
mm,
times, but they will use
mm.
this in a way of like, yeah, but you need to enjoy me, or you need to be present with me, and we use it as a resentment technique and as a demanding. And so I think this really was confronting for me to read, because I have a tendency to almost speak like that
Sure.
as well, of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and we get into the fight. You're also writing about that, of the feminine demanding, show me that you love me, and him closing down because he's made to do something,
Totally.
and using David Data things for that.
100, absolutely. I've used every book, teacher, lesson I've ever learned. Oh, I can't wait to turn around and impose that on other people.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
On that, which has never ever ever gone over well. But it's a tendency. I think it's a
Yeah.
natural inclination. It's a map. I love maps. These are all
Mm-hmm.
maps. They're great maps.
Yeah.
And I want other people to be on the map with me,
Yeah.
because I don't want to be alone in this map. I don't want to be all alone in the world. And I want, I think it comes from generally from a loving intention. I
Yeah.
don't want to be alone. I want you to join me in this dance,
Yeah.
right? And at least that's been true for me. I want to be joined. I don't want to dance by myself. I want to be
Yeah.
joined in the dance. And here's the dance I want to do. There's a
Yeah.
Rumi quote:
Mm.
out beyond ideas of right doing and wrongdoing, there's a
Mm.
field. I'll meet you there. I love that quote, and I would use that to essentially enroll. I would attempt, because it never worked, but I would attempt to use that. Like, that was my sort of a thing that I would put on the table with a woman,
Mm-hmm.
which was really an attempt to enroll her in my freedom. Let me be free.
Mm.
Let's not have ideas of right doing and wrong doing, and let's play
Yeah.
in this field where all things are possible. And I think that's still a beautiful sentiment. But the way that I would approach it was incredibly self-serving.
Oh, yeah.
It was all about, again, sort of my freedom, my immaturity, my unwillingness to take responsibility for how my actions have impact on another person's humanness.
Yeah. I've been feeling is that something I've personally heard a lot from ex-boyfriends and partners, and also from my clients, is just that the masculine or men saying, well, you just need to take me as I am, when
Mm.
she expresses things that are not enough. And I thought, oh yeah,
Mhm.
there feels like such an interesting protest, because it's really hard to own up to the consequences of how you're showing
Yeah.
up sometimes.
Uh, and I think he's not wrong. He's
No,
not wrong,
also.
but he's also not right.
Yeah.
It's like I think this is the in all my work in intimate relationship, and I mean personally
Mhm.
speaking, my own applied experience in intimacy. It's interesting. I had a woman tell me this years ago, a woman that I was desperately trying to impress with my insight and knowledge. And I was spent a weekend with her. It was we were just friends, but I was still wanting to impress her with how astute and knowledgeable and insightful I am. And I remember she stopped me at one point. We were sitting at a cafe in Southern California, on the Pacific Coast Highway. We're sitting at this cafe, and she stops me. She says, "Brian, don't you understand that even when you're right, you're wrong?" And that stopped me in my tracks. And I resisted what she was saying, but I also kind of felt the truth of it. And she said, just hold on for a minute. Just look in front of you. Look at this person who's making coffee. We're sitting at the counter of this little coffee shop, and she was like, look at this person who's making coffee in front of you. Look at the little smile that he has on his face. Just take that in for a moment. And I'm grinding, I'm resisting. But knowledge, but information, but insight, but heady stuff, but perspective, and that was the first time anyone had ever said that to me. And of course,
Mm.
the woman who said that to me. And I think that's a lesson that again continues to reverberate throughout my brain and my heart and my whole being, even as I do relationship with my wife.
Mm.
That even when I'm right, I'm wrong. To me, what does that mean? But um,
Mm.
connection with the moment, connection with my partner doesn't happen from me proving that I know something.
Yeah.
If anything, that only creates further disconnection between us.
Yeah.
And even when I'm right, I'm wrong. So that guy says, you need to accept me as I am. Well,
Mm-hmm.
he's not wrong about that. And I think this is the pitfall we men fall into, is we're like,
Mm.
logic, but it's what I'm saying is the truth, and the truth will set you free. Well, that may be so. The truth may set you free, but holding on to that truth as the thing that will set you free will also put you right back in prison.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel you. I feel
And I
you.
think, and that's a tragedy that we get caught in that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think a bit related to that, I call it the stoic, detached, rock-like masculine, right? The one that is very just
Mm,
meditative and very
mm,
intellectual, has read all his books, done his meditations.
mhm,
It's
mm,
very,
mhm.
it drives me nuts. And I know it drives a lot of other feminine beings nuts, because he's not feeling anything,
Yeah. Right.
right? Because I
Right.
want him to feel something. And I've been tripped up about this for a very long time. So I'm really curious on your perspective on this, because
Yeah.
it's not that I want him in a feminine energy. It's not that I
Totally.
want him to be emotions and to be feelings and to dance
Yeah.
the girlfriend dance with me.
Right. 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 Yeah.
That's not it. But I want him to feel something.
Yeah.
I want some kind of response. I want to feel that I affect him.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people, and myself included, still get tripped up of like,
Yeah.
I think that
Yeah.
the stoic, detached, intellectual masculine has a wonderful gift, and it's also sometimes a comfort zone where we actually disconnect from the world.
Yeah. Well, I think
Yeah.
it's the same way. Like, I think it's the same way. Like a man that might be attracted to and want to partner with you,
Mhm.
he doesn't want you to just be all feminine, flowy, and chaos,
Right.
and
Right.
a roller coaster of emotions that just at any minute may go this way or that way. Or he wants you to have some masculine capacity to care for yourself as well,
Yeah, you're right.
right?
Yeah, you're
So
right.
I think mastery as men, if we can use that word, as think
Yeah.
as a and I realize we're talking kind of binary terms here, but
Yeah.
we'll just say as a heterosexual man, for me, as a path of mastery for me is really, maybe this applies to every human, I don't know, but is cultivating the capacity for both possibilities,
Mm.
for deep emotional expression and
Hmm.
aliveness, and also the capacity for masculine stillness, for stillness, and for for perspective, and the capacity to witness and to hold, to both create the container and also be in it and be a mess inside of it.
Mm.
And I think it's like my relationship with my wife. She Early in our relationship, she I discovered that she can cry like no one else I've ever met. And she even informed me that she needs to cry almost daily. When I met her, I'd have a good cry maybe once every 10 years. maybe
Like most
15, I
men,
don't know.
yeah.
And I've learned to cry a lot more in her presence, because the gift of her emotionality has in a way given me a sort of permission.
Hmm.
She's been beautiful in how she's held space at times for me to cry, for me to grieve a lot of what I have not grieved over my lifetime. And and it also would not work for her if I was crying every single day,
Yeah.
because not that that's a bad thing, not that a man can't cry every single day. Of course, that's a beautiful thing.
Hmm.
But in a way, it's that's just the polarity of our relationship. It wouldn't work if we had two people crying every single day to the depth that she can cry, particularly.
Hmm. Yeah.
That we would just be a nonstop puddle of tears.
Were you able to be
And
with the
this,
crying every day?
I have long cultivated a what's the word I'm looking for? Um, a what am I wanting to say here? I have three sisters and two mothers, right?
Hmm.
It's been an ideal of mine to allow women to be who they want to be, to express how they want to express, to feel what they want to feel. And here's an interesting thing, Sophie. It's actually a lot easier for me to be with her tears when they are massive and powerful and overwhelming, and just like she full on goes for it.
Mm.
That's far easier for me to be with, because I understand, oh, okay, this is the thing that she needs to do to move this
Hmm.
energy.
Hmm.
Rather than when the tears are less intense, and they seem to
Yeah.
be attached to a story that I don't agree with.
Ooh.
That's far more challenging for me to be with,
Yeah. I think
because I get
many
hooked.
men
I get hooked
listening
on
are
the
going to be
story.
like, "Yup, I
I
get
get
that."
hooked on the story. I get hooked on the story, and my my allegiance to logic, my
Mhm.
logic, by the way, not anyone else's, just mine. Not to say that she doesn't have her own logic. She does. But allegiance to my logic, I get hooked on it, and I think, well, my initial reaction is, well, these tears aren't necessary, because
Yes.
see it this way, which often has the effect of making anger come out
Hmm.
now.
Hmm.
Because here we go down the primal downward spiral of
Yeah.
misunderstanding between, we could say, masculine and feminine expressions of being.
Yeah.
um so yes, I always want her to feel like it's okay to cry and to always, and yeah, at times I get hijacked by my own knee-jerk reaction to my story about her story.
Yeah. I saw a YouTube video you'd posted on, you called it the male checkout syndrome,
Yeah.
which is pretty much he's in the room with you, but you can't feel him. He's there,
Yeah.
but you don't feel him.
uh, mm,
And I'd be really curious actually to, from your perspective, what is it? What's happening in a
mm,
man that is checked out or that is in the
mhm.
MCS, as you call it?
Yeah,
What's happening there rather
male
than saying
checkout.
that it sucks?
Yeah, so male checkout syndrome, I identify as when a man is physically present but emotionally or intellectually gone.
Yeah.
He's just checked out. And
Yeah.
um, you know, being a man and having worked with men for many years,
Mm-hmm.
there's this cliche idea, the stereotype of men that we are not sensitive, we are
Mm-hmm.
insensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And this male checkout, masculine checkout syndrome would suggest to be the evidence of that. Like, it happens to so many men so often. Women are so accustomed to it, so clearly men are insensitive, they're gone, they're checked out, they're not emotionally connected to
Yeah.
me, to the moment, to what's happening. But what I believe and hold to be true is that actually the opposite is true, that men
Yeah.
are profoundly sensitive beings. It's just that we have so much programming, and because we've been, that our sensitivities from childhood have been abused,
Yeah.
ridiculed, exploited out of us, not out of us, but such that we've learned, I'm not safe to feel. It's not safe to feel, so I'm just going to wall up, armor up,
Yeah.
close down. It's
Yeah.
much safer. And women don't really, in general, know how to help us feel safe to feel either.
Yes, that was my next question.
I mean, I've been
Yeah.
in plenty of relationships where,
Yeah.
including that relationship with the French one, neither one of us were talking about our feelings. I mean,
Yeah.
she wasn't good at feeling her feelings either, or practiced anyway, and
Yeah.
never checked in about my feelings. I was having a lot of feelings, and in a way, she was the one that was more in kind of masculine checkout syndrome in
Mm-hmm.
our relationship at the time, where I
Mm-hmm.
was I was hurting so much inside and
Mm-hmm.
expressing it in very unskillful ways, no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
But neither one of us had any idea how to allow feelings to be present.
Yeah.
And a lot
Yeah.
of men will express that they've again, whether they've done this skillfully or not, who knows, but have had feelings and shown feelings and expressed feelings, and then only been ridiculed even by their female, by
Yeah.
women, for
Yeah. I'm
having
not
feelings.
attracted to
So
you anymore. Yeah. That one.
I'm not
Yeah.
attracted to you anymore, or
Yeah.
even, don't be a pussy. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm working with a man whose ex-girlfriend would tell him, don't be a pussy. His girlfriend would tell him, don't be a pussy, because he was, anxiety was come up, feelings were
Mm-hmm.
coming up, he was getting nervous and feeling insecurities. Don't be from his female partner. So, we men have gotten this message everywhere that it's not safe to feel.
Yeah.
And masculine checkout syndrome is a consequence of that. It's just, well, it's not safe to feel, so I'm out, peace. I'll hang out, I'm here because I don't want to be alone, but I
Yeah.
also can't really be here because it's too painful and scary for me to emotionally be here. So
Yeah.
here's my body and my brain, but that's all you get.
Yeah.
And even my brain, I'm going to go into my fantasies and stories, and because it's much safer to live there. At least I have control over the world if I tell, if I'm living in my stories about it,
Yeah.
than to really be here and be an open, vulnerable, sensitively, sensually connected being really present with what's going on here. Because if I really feel what's going on here in my own body and in yours and in the world, oh my God, the grief and the pain
Mm.
and the fear and the intensity and the anger, all of it's too much.
Yeah. 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 For anybody listening to this, like, this is such an important thing to really instill in yourselves, that there's so much more happening, especially in our men, especially in the men that seem really like not a lot is happening. There's so much happening behind. I had a interaction with my partner recently where he was very calm and very,
Mm.
just very grounded. And I wanted
Mm-hmm.
more, and I wanted to feel that he cared. And he's like, no, but Sophie, I'm not
Yeah.
feeling a lot, until I kept pushing. And then he broke and he said, no, but actually this affects me more than you realize. This
Mm-hmm.
affects me so much more. This affects me more than it affects you, actually. And so my question, I think, to you is related to how can I more skillfully help a man feel safe? How can anyone make or help a man feel safer to express his emotions, to
Yeah.
be there, to not have to check out?
Yeah.
What's safety? Because I think safety for a feminine being is a little bit different than safety for men.
Well, I think a first step is um look, I believe in relationships as not 50-50 deals, but 100
Mm-hmm.
100
Mm-hmm.
experiences. We
Mm-hmm.
both have 100% responsibility for the success of the relationship, or failure for that
Yeah.
matter. And I think that one thing that it's such a tricky thing. Let's talk about this word emotion for a moment.
Mm-hmm.
Emotion. The Latin root of the word emotion is emovere, which means to move out, to move out. Right. So there's something, emotion. There's something in the body, and we want to move it outward. I think for men, and this is actually borne out by research. Men um, Men are more prone to sensation, impulse seeking. So
Ah.
I may have that language not
Mm-hmm.
quite exactly right, but we tend to need big experiences in order to feel something.
Right.
Something big needs to happen,
Mm-hmm.
tangible, measurable, like I can see it, in order for it to stir a feeling inside.
Mm-hmm.
This is why,
Intensity.
what's that?
Intensity.
Intensity, exactly.
Yeah.
It's why
Yeah.
men tend to be more drawn to extreme sports,
Mm-hmm.
extreme activities, dangerous activities, because those create very visceral feelings in a way that just kind of, sitting on the couch, hanging out, walking down the street tends not to create. I mean, men in general, depending on where you live, I suppose, uh, we tend to not experience the feeling of fear or danger very often in the modern world.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas it's my understanding that women experience that daily. With it, we're out and about in the world, walking around,
Yes.
walking through garages. Is that
Oh, yeah.
reasonable to say?
I don't think I think most men don't realize how much is this part of every hour of every day of everything we do. Yeah.
Of a woman's life, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas for men, that feeling of danger is actually quite rare for most men.
Mm-hmm.
We're the
Yeah.
predators. We're the apex predators. So our only question is there another man in my vicinity who could kill me or hurt me? And if the
Yeah.
answer is immediately no, and I mean, largely in this day and age, we don't feel threatened by other men in our midst for the most part. When we go
Mm-hmm.
shopping, when we go to sporting events, we go here, go there, at work, we just generally have the embodied awareness that no one's going to kill me here today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas for women, it's not quite the same calculus, is it?
Not at all. Not
Not
at
at
all.
all. I mean, anywhere you're under threat, anywhere potentially, anywhere you
Yeah.
go. at work, on a date.
Yeah. And we have been. Most of us also have been. Yeah.
So for men, we tend to need bigger experiences in order to feel
Right.
something. So when
Oof.
we're, here we are with our partner who's wanting us to feel something, and we're sitting on the couch or we're hanging out in the living room. It's like, well, what the hell do you want me to feel? In a way, like in my internal mind, because this
Mm-hmm.
happens to me as well. Sylvie, my wife, same. She wants me. It's hilarious. She's often wanting me. Early in our relationship, it's funny. We got pretty clear pretty fast that Sylvie, it just doesn't help. It's not a really useful question to ask me, am I excited about something that's going to happen in the future? Like this word, are you excited? you know, Excitement isn't really something that I connect to around a future event that I can't. That there's a lot of logistics I have to get through in order to get to that experience.
Mm-hmm.
It's like mountain biking. I love mountain biking. I'm excited when I'm screaming down the hill at 35 miles an hour on my bike with the threat of death present. That's
Right.
exciting for me in the moment. I feel
Yeah.
excitement. I feel alive. But I don't really feel the anticipatory excitement of this is going to happen in a few hours. I need to be in the experience to really feel it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, so Sylvie, she'll be, sometimes she'll even say, I mean, again, we have I think we have a really amazing relationship. We have our breakdowns and we have our
Mm-hmm.
struggles like any couple will. But for the most part, I think our relational chemistry is really it's deeply fulfilling and I'm really pleased and happy
Mm-hmm.
with what we cultivate. And still, there are times where she looks at me and goes, "I need to feel. I don't feel connected to you."
Yes. Yeah.
That's often how it comes out. I haven't
Yeah.
felt connected to you.
Yeah.
And I'll take a deep breath and I'll go, "Oh shit!" In my head, I won't say that out loud. Fuck. What do you mean? Like, and I know what she means, but also like, why is this a thing? Why
Mm-hmm.
is this a thing? I feel fine. I feel connected because you'd have to leave me basically for me to not.
Yeah.
Or you have to be really pissed off or really critical or this or that. So, um, but what I'm realizing is she's just wanting expressions, of emotion, of a moving out of an inner experience in a
Yes.
way that she can feel it.
Yes. Yes.
That's all. Again,
Yes.
that's all. She's wanting me to move something out from inside
Yes. Yes.
so she can feel it because that feels connecting for her.
Yeah.
And
Oof.
right,
It's
it
that
seems so
simple.
simple. It
Yeah.
seems so simple. And so how do we get there? How do we do that?
Mm-hmm.
That quote you
Mm-hmm.
read from my book. Could you say it again, please?
I
I
think I
wrote
wrote
it
it
so long
down.
ago. I can't even.
I think I wrote it down wrong, but it came down to your partner will never give enthusiastically what you selfishly demand from them.
Right. So here's what often will happen if she's demanding that I feel something, show expressions, show
Mm-hmm.
emotion. Well, often the first one that arises is anger
Mm-hmm. From you. Yeah.
from me.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Annoyance. Yeah.
It's kind of like, yeah, I'm annoyed.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
Yeah.
if I and look, it's a funny dance we do, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
even if I am a little, let's say I'm a little angry and she can see that I'm angry, but I don't want to admit yet that I'm angry. Or maybe I'm not angry, but I'm also not feeling good. Maybe I'm just sort of, again, in my head, kind of, and this will happen often, I think, in heterosexual couples. Why are you angry? Well, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not angry. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't know. You seem pretty angry. Well, you keep asking me that question. I'm fucking gonna get angry. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, anger's present,
Yeah.
and obviously that's not a very healthy way of bringing forward emotions.
Yeah.
Um, but what is helpful for me
Yeah.
is first just knowing that ironically, would come back to this, accept that I'm accepted, whether or not I'm feeling something.
Mm.
Knowing that you accept me where I'm at is helpful,
That's a big one.
right? It comes back to sort of like it's a little chicken or egg kind of
Mm-hmm.
conversation. Which comes first? But for me to feel safe, like I don't have to perform. I don't
Mm.
have to do something that I, number one, don't feel safe doing, which is feeling. Number two, I'm not even sure what I would feel right now because I'm not on a mountain bike going 35 miles down, uh, a single track with rocks all over it. The threat of death isn't present, so I don't really know what to feel. Everything's fine. House ain't
Mm-hmm.
on fire. Nobody's attacking us. You're not bleeding or starving. There's no one shooting at us. Like I'm good. What? Why do I need to feel something?
Yeah.
Right? These are all the things that are kind of happening. So if I first will just hear that it's okay if I'm just, feeling blah or feeling nothing or feeling whatever,
Yeah.
knowing that it's okay. Ah, now my guard can relax.
Yeah, that's a big one.
It's hugely helpful. Now, it doesn't obviously uh, satisfy her thirst, her hunger to
Mm-hmm.
feel me, right? So what could come next that's helpful is when she again kind of steps into her vulnerability and her feeling and shares, well, I'm not feeling connected to you. It's not your
Mm.
fault. You didn't do anything wrong. She reassuring words. Again, you don't have to do anything. You didn't do anything wrong. Kind of these are, I call these language needles, like
Yeah.
little word needles that she's putting in my body, like
Yeah.
acupuncture needles to help keep or putting into our relationship to help the flow of trust and love and happen between us so that I don't get defensive like, well, I did something wrong or well, I didn't do anything wrong, and I'm going to my defense of, well, I show up, I pay bills, I do this and I do that, how can you not feel connected? That's not helpful for anybody.
Mm.
So when she can remind me, it's just she's not feeling my presence. You didn't do anything wrong. I love you. I know you love me. This isn't about you doing something wrong, or you don't have to perform. You don't have to. I just want you to know that I haven't been feeling your presence,
Yeah.
right? Or I've been feeling like something's off with you. I don't know, but I would love to know, just want you to know that if there's anything going off for you, you're so welcome to share it with me.
Oof.
If you're feeling something, you're so welcome
Mm.
to let it out here.
Oh, I love that. Instead of saying, like, what are you feeling? What's going on in your life? And kind of like dragging it out. Like, hey, by the
Totally.
way, if you need to talk to somebody, you just want to vent, I'm here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's such
I,
a
you
different
know, I,
energy.
I was doing an interview with a couple actually,
Mm-hmm.
um, and they were sharing with me a story about how sometimes when they're making love, and this will be public, so I'm not sharing anything that's not private, um, or that is private. Uh, they were sharing with me that when they're making love, sometimes she will ask him, uh, "What are you feeling right now?" What
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of making love?
Mm-hmm.
What are you feeling? Because her story is that he's not present.
Right.
And as they're unveiling this and they're asking me like, how would you do that, like, to me, and the first question I asked
Mm-hmm.
back to her was, well, actually, what's happening for you when you say that?
Mm-hmm.
And she had a little light bulb moment. Well, actually, I'm realizing, wait a second, I'm not feeling present when I
Oh,
ask
yeah.
that question. And he started to laugh because he's like, yeah, when you asked me that, all of a sudden I'm in my head. Now I go, because I was having a great time and I'm in it. I'm feeling you and I'm this and I'm doing this and I think I'm fully present. And the moment you ask me what am I feeling, I'm like, well, now I got to go into my head and figure out, well, what am I feeling? And like that takes him out in a way
Yeah.
when what was really happening for her in that moment was she was feeling something that just so subtly. put onto him as though he can do something about it. Not to say that he can't, but no, but like just that question took them both out of something that they really wanted to be in.
Mm. I love this. I love this. I think we often, or let me just speak as a woman, we often have this idea of like, oh, if you're not using your words or you're not telling me all the things about how you're feeling, you must not be feeling anything. You must not be here then.
Right.
And there's all these
Totally.
assumptions of what a certain expression means. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And this, I know there's this enduring fear that I think all humans have, all of us
Mm.
hold, the fear that you don't care about me,
Yeah, yeah.
particularly in intimacy. And I know,
Mm-hmm.
in we'll use that, the masculine feminine map, that
Mm-hmm.
the feminine concern, whether in a man or a woman, right, is
Mm-hmm.
you're going to leave me alone in this. I'm alone in this.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
not connected. You're going to abandon me.
yeah,
You've left me.
yeah,
I'm alone in this.
yeah.
And the way that often gets language, right, is you don't care about me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like you care about me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such an unhelpful languaging of of a real experience, a genuine experience that someone might be having, the fear,
Mm-hmm.
that the feeling of being uncared for.
Yeah.
The languaging of that immediately, I had to learn myself, because this would be put upon me a lot in the past. You don't care about me.
Yeah.
Immediately I'm defensive, because
Mm-hmm.
I know I fucking care about you. How dare you? That's the initial knee jerk,
Mm-hmm.
my own wound, my own fear of being criticized, of being told I'm not good enough, I'm not doing it right. The masculine, I call the one of the core masculine fears is I'm a fuck up.
Yeah.
I did it wrong. I'm doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And you just told me that you think I don't care about you? Oh, my initial reaction is, how dare you assume you know what's happening for me? And here's the evidence of how I care about you. One, two, three, four, all that,
Mm-hmm.
which only, furthers her, in this case, her evidence that I don't care, because now I'm not listening.
Yeah.
And there we go, down the spiral, down the drain.
So in summary, let's say like I love your book, like choose her every day, otherwise leave her.
Yeah.
I can imagine many women feeling, fuck, I want him to choose me more, and like telling her, man, like choose me more, choose me more.
Right.
I want
Right.
you to choose me more. And him going
Yeah.
into, yeah, but exactly what you were just describing, like resentment or feeling
Mhm.
criticized and feeling like you weren't doing enough.
Mhm.
What is the, I know you also call it the stages in your book, but what is the more
Mhm.
expansive or inspired way to speak to that?
Yeah. Well, let's call something out here.
Yeah.
Um, this is the first time in history that intimate relationship between two people, marriage,
Mm.
relationship, committed monogamous relationship. This is the first time in history it's really being uh, used, lived as a container for genuine emotional connection and
Yeah.
support.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how we've been doing it throughout most of history, or at least that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of it
Mm-hmm.
was, economic safety and security, property rights, transfer
Mm-hmm.
from one generation to the next, family, with power. There was a lot of other reasons that we did intimate relationship. So, you know, I'm not letting men off the hook here. Let's be clear. And though we men, our ancestors were not trained and conditioned to be emotionally present in their intimate relationships.
Right.
That's a new modern innovation for relationship. On top of that, the village, the
Mm-hmm.
community has been decimated. So we're trying to do these little two-person villages where all our needs are supposed to get met, including our emotional needs, and for men, including the need for adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Or women, not to say that that's exclusively what men
Mm-hmm.
need, that women don't need adventure also, but yeah, we're doing relationship in a whole new way that we've never done before. So it's going to be difficult. Look, I teach this. I wrote a book about it. I'm a deep student of intimacy and relationship. I want to succeed at the highest level of intimate relationship, and this shit is still really hard for me on many days.
So refreshing to hear that.
Yeah, I still, you know, I still regularly go like, and I think, my wife, if anyone watching this knows my wife, Sylvie Kukassian, I mean, she herself is a world-renowned, you know, relationship coach, marriage and family therapist. She's gorgeous and sexy and funny. Like, she is the catch of catches. And I still at days are like, damn, this is hard. I don't know if I can do this.
Yeah,
Right.
refreshing.
So I think let's give ourselves a break a little bit. Let's have some compassion for what we're really up to here. Again, that's not to let each other off the hook from doing the work,
Yeah.
and I think that's speaking to a woman, what I would say is, and I often say this, what is your purpose for relationship? What do you really want to experience from this? And if you want to experience emotional connection with your partner, then then allow that to be a part of your expectation.
Yeah.
Allow it to be a part of what you expect and what you want and what you stand for.
Mm-hmm.
Which and be the invitation for that. Be
That's
the
it. Yeah.
invitation, not the obligation,
Mm-hmm.
but the invitation to your
Mm-hmm.
partner or a partner. And if a man shows you that he's just not up for that, then he's probably not your partner. He's just not because he's a bad person,
Just a different path.
just a different path. And look, I believe the vast majority of men want to feel emotionally connected to their partners. It's not like the world is it's not like it's not like well, look, I mean, you look out on the world and it looks like the world is just filled with emotionally uh immature men, and I actually think it is. I do. I think that's the state of the world today, is that the vast majority of men are emotionally immature and stunted in their growth. That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that the aspirate the sort of the core a core desire of man is to all the same live his emotional fullness and feel emotionally connected to his loved ones as well, even if
Yeah.
we men don't really talk about that publicly,
Yeah.
or even able to articulate it.
Yeah. I think it's such an important yeah, you're such an important role model in this, because even you, with I don't know how many years and being married to quite a force in the relationship world, and it's still like we don't graduate. This never gets finished. We're not just done. We're all messy. We're all human. And yeah, a reason why I'm doing this podcast also is because I think we look at men with kind of a you need to be perfect or otherwise you failed mentality. Like, you need to be present with me all the time. And the moment you are wavering or you get stuck in your head or whatever, like, you suck, right? It's very binary. No, it's very
Yeah,
critical. It's
yeah,
very,
yeah,
it's rough. Like, I feel for the men that
yeah.
are also trying to step up and have quite a harsh audience almost. Yeah. So
Well,
I
I
this
look
is
at
an
it.
important example, I think, what you're setting of, yeah, of course it's still messy. It always stays messy.
It always stays messy, and I look also. I think of this as a swinging pendulum.
Mm-hmm.
For eons, the pendulum has been way far on the extreme of men, of it's a man's world. I call it a masculine reward world. You are
Mm-hmm.
rewarded for being in your masculine, and you are
Mm-hmm.
destroyed. You are ridiculed, exploited, murdered, literally murdered
Yeah.
for being more in your feminine expression. And the pendulum is swinging back. And there's naturally going to be an overcorrection. I
Mm-hmm.
see this in the Me Too movement as well. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, sure, maybe there are some men who who are, so-called good men who are getting called to task,
Mm-hmm.
getting called out for things which maybe they weren't that big of violations, kind of all things considered. But you know what? Women, by and large, and we said it at the beginning of this conversation, women live in a constant state of I'm not safe here.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's a natural, cancel culture, same thing. Maybe these
Mm-hmm.
are overcorrections of sorts, but you know what? That's how else can it be? Because we've
Mm.
been on so far on one extreme that to some degree, that's just how corrections happen. We overcorrect to the other side for a time until we kind of come back more into balance.
Yeah.
At least that's my, idealistic
Mm.
envisioning of it.
Mm. I love that. Bryan, I have a very last question to you. I also realize we're
Sure.
at time a little bit, but it was a question I've always wanted to ask you. The backstories of that is that when I met my current partner, he was the conscious man that I had always wanted, right? And I hate that word, the conscious man, but let's just say he was a black belt in or brown belt in these kind of things, right? In these kind of concepts. And I had always said that that's what I wanted. And then when it was in front of me, it was very confronting and difficult. And right, because I was fully seen for me. And instead of always pointing the finger like, oh, that man is emotionally unavailable, he can't communicate his shit. And I had a man that could do all of those things. And so I, for the first time in my life, had to deal with my things. And that was
Yeah.
deeply uncomfortable. And so
Yeah.
I tell this story often to people who are in this story, like, oh, I just want a conscious man. Like the conscious man doesn't save you. It's actually
Yeah.
yeah, it's a confronting journey sometimes. But I'm actually really curious how it was for you, because if I may say so, like your wife is quite a force in this world, and she's very powerful and she's very embodied in all of this. I've always been curious, like, was it a similar experience for you that you thought, oh my God, I just want this, like the black belt and all of this, and there she was, and it was, yeah, I'm just really curious.
Oh, 100%. Look, when I met her, I had been single for 6 years. I'd been doing so
Mm-hmm.
much masculine and feminine practice, cultivating, what David Data would call, my third stage
Mm-hmm.
masculine and feminine capacity, my third stage capacity to give my gifts in the world, regardless of what fruits result, to love regardless of how the love is received, et cetera, et cetera. And I was on top of the world, in my in my thinking, in my being, when she and I met. I was a world renowned relationship blogger, and like I was just rocking it at all levels when she and I met. Excuse me. And 4 months into our relationship, I mean, I met her and I was like, I proclaimed to the world, I met her. Here she is. She's extraordinary. She's amazing. And by the way, she didn't have a social media platform at that time. Now she's this, big time Instagram star with her work. But at that time, she didn't even have an Instagram account. So it's not like my ambition didn't, it wasn't my ambition that chose her.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't
Mm-hmm.
sort of do anything for my so-called status. Like my
Mm-hmm.
soul knew, like, this is the woman for me.
Mm-hmm.
And she's so beautiful, but I was not even normally attracted to the most beautiful woman in the room for all kinds of reasons. So even her, like, she's really she's just sort of this classic
Drop dead gorgeous.
beautiful
Yeah.
Armenian captivating woman, but even that was a bit, I had to kind of work through that because that wasn't the thing that I was normally attracted to in a woman. So anyway, here she is, like everything. And 4 months in, she broke up with me because I was running into my shit and I didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we didn't at that time, we did not have a good support person or team to help us navigate these things. And but all my stuff, like, oh my God, can I do this? Am I ready for this? What the hell does she want from me? All the stuff that I've been training for, like an Olympian for the previous 20 years. Here it is. Now here's the Olympics. How am I going to perform? Well, I fell on my face for the first few months. Uh, again, here she is. She's wanting, but her too. I mean, she too is running into all her stuff. We're
Yeah.
projecting all over each other. And I will say, I don't want to, I never want to speak for her and I'll let her share her own story. But I didn't end the relationship. She did. Because I knew, like, I'm in it. We're gonna figure this shit out. This is hard, and I don't know what's going on, and I'm having my doubts and I'm having my fears. And I think one time, a couple months in, she asked me. We were sitting at dinner, and she asked me, "So, Bryan, do you really think, like, you see a future with us?" And my answer, I'll never forget my answer, nor will she. As I said, "I think so." Well, that was the wrong answer, Sophie.
I can feel that.
That was the wrong answer. Wrong, 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 wrong. I mean, again, it just betrayed, though, the wall I was running into. Like, my soul knew, like, the depths of my being, I knew, like, I'm not looking for anyone else. This is it. But my stuff, the human fears that are just part of the human experience. I think what's easy to do, and on this path you and I have walked in through this study and all these teachers in this realm, is to, for me, certainly it was like the spiritual bypass, we could call it. Like, I'm going to
Yes.
bypass my humanity. I know the concepts, I feel the strength in my body, I know how to, I did all the David Data, the Michaela Boehm work, the polarity work. I know how to stand strong while the feminine, whirls and chaoses around me. I can, roar, growl. I can, get in there and bring it. And, but the human parts of me
Yeah.
were getting triggered all over the place.
Yeah.
The part of me that didn't trust intimacy, the part of me that, that my parents divorced when I was 4. My family, my family system is such an independent system. We're all on our own, doing our own thing for the most part. I mean, even my married parents have such independent lives from each other in many ways. I can't trust relationship. I didn't
Yeah.
know that was a thing until I'm a few years into relationship with Sylvie. Didn't even
Yeah.
know that was a thing for me. Right. So, my attachment stuff, she's an expert at attachment theory. And I had no clue how avoidant I was in my
Oh yeah.
way of attaching because I couldn't trust intimacy, relationship. I've moved so many times in my life. I left home when I was 16. My dad left home when I was 4, and I just, I'm on my own was the story I was living in. So that's a human story, and it's embedded in my nervous system.
Yeah.
And here I am partnering with this woman who has never lived more than 20 minutes from her mother, and never lived outside of LA when she came here, since she came here when she was 4 years old. And she's so connected to her family, but I don't trust family.
Yeah.
And the tensions that then arose in our, so yeah, all that stuff,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, if we're being real with our humanity, all this stuff's gonna show up. To your point, Sophie, I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
I mean, the stories and the things that. How long have you been with your partner now?
Almost 2 years.
Almost 2 years. So I'm with Sylvie 6 years now. Stuff still arises. We're still
Yeah.
learning each other. We're still uncovering new layers of, oh my God, I didn't know that was a thing that I
Yeah.
had that's getting in the way for me. Whew. It's nice to see it. Now we can work with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I keep feeling the sentence of like a conscious man isn't going to save you, or the person who studied everything isn't going to save you from. I think it's actually beautiful. I know when I was a bit younger, I had this illusion that if I would just meet somebody who had done all the work, then
Right. Oh
a
yeah.
relationship would just be a breeze. And
All right. Then I don't
it's
have to
not.
do
And
any.
actually, I'm really glad it's not, because I feel like I'm being led home. I'm being led
Oh, I
home.
love
I'm being
that.
led to healing, and I love it. Harvo Hendricks, right? The getting the love you want. It's like the relationship is such a beautiful healing tool to work through to work through all your triggers and all your blueprints and all of it. And so
Yeah.
I'm very grateful that my relationship gets to be a very safe, mature container for that. But I had an
Yeah.
illusion. Oh my God, did I have an illusion?
Same. Same. I thought to really to do the deepest spiritual practice, you had to go live in a monastery. You had to go
Yeah,
be alone in a cave. Uh-uh. You want to do real spiritual practice? Fucking be in a relationship. Be in an intimate relationship with somebody.
yeah,
You want to really learn how to love and really, do your part to save the world. Don't go out there and do some big mission. Fucking love one person
yeah,
fully through
yeah.
all their no's. I had Sylvie on VR last night. I put a video out. She did
I saw
virtual
that.
reality. Did you see
Yeah,
it?
yeah. So
It's
so cute.
hysterical. It's hysterical because and the funny thing is, I I put on a little game that I thought would be the least intense experience for her because I wanted her to have a good experience and I wanted to enjoy that with her. And what happens in the video, Sophie?
I
What did
didn't
you
watch to the
notice?
end. I only watched the beginning, and then I honestly felt that I also wanted a VR set, so I stopped.
Okay. So, well, there's a lot of screaming that goes on.
Yeah.
And she screams. She's like, I don't want this. She takes it off and puts
Oh,
it right back on and screams. It's hysterical and all. And a part of me in that moment, like I have to feel a little heartbreak.
yeah,
And there's a part of me that's like, no, but I want her to love it the way I love it so we can share
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But that's not going to happen for her. And it's a moment of I can either get cynical and angry and judgy and righteous, which is what I would have done years ago, and try to force her into an experience that's not working for her, or I can relax my own nervous system and breathe, and I can open my heart and love her through all of this, and be willing to just not share this experience with her even though it hurts.
yeah,
And that, I think, that's the lesson, that's the work the world needs most right now, to right, learn how to love even through our disappointments, to love even
oh,
though we disagree, we can't share certain perspectives and ideas and facts even. How can we love anyway?
yeah,
And we're not going to be able to do that in the world if we can't do that with the person sitting right next to us that we're
yeah,
sleeping next to every night.
yeah. I love that. I think that's really the takeaway, I think, of today, of just this: how can you stay open? How can you stay in connection even when there's disappointment, even when there's resentment, even when there is a I can't feel you. How do you stay open?
That's right. Right, goes both ways. Kind of it's
Yeah,
full circle. Even when Sylvie
yeah,
can't. This is one thing that I do. I often beg of from her because it would help. Only because it would help me, and I realize I have to give it. It's the same.
yeah,
Can she feel me because I'm not feeling a lot? Can she love me? Can she love me anyway?
yeah.
Even when I'm not feeling much
Ooh,
in the moment or able to move emotion out of me, can she love me anyway?
ooh,
Oh, that helps me feel safe and loved and accepted. And I know that if I'm going to get that from her, I've got to give it to her also. So even when she rejects virtual reality because it just is overwhelming for her, can I love her anyway? Full
yeah,
on. Or
yeah,
rejects whatever it is I want her to accept. Can I love her
mm,
anyway? Like that's the work.
mm.
That's
Yeah, it
Not
makes me a
easy.
little
Not easy.
emotional. That's beautiful. Bryan, thank you so much for today. I realized we went a little bit over time, but this was too good to stop. Um, yeah, really, yeah, really grateful for this conversation. If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you? Where can they find your book?
My website is really the best place. Bryan with a Y, Bryan Reeves,
Yeah.
REEVES.com. Everything's there. My book, you can order my book on all. You can find it on my website, but it's also on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and in different countries on different platforms. But my book, my website, bryanreeves.com, has links to all my social media, all that stuff, all blogs, videos. That's my little corner of the internet that I cultivate and take care of. Join me there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Let me just recommend his book because I have ADHD and I have massive trouble reading books. And his book is essays. And I love that because I can just read 3 pages and get something out of it. So I highly recommend it because it was actually felt like such an easy, sweet book to dive into.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Sophie. I'm honored
Thank
to
you,
be
Bryan,
here.
for being here.
I'm
Thank you for
honored.
being
And
here,
thank you for
Bryan.
doing these conversations with men.
Thanks.